Oh, MVM. How I never thought I would return here, yet here I am, playing another couple of rounds of it after a very, very long hiatus from this game mode. Some people consider this like the counterpart to like standard pubs or TF2 as well, which is like very, very interesting. It's kind of funny that it hasn't gotten support in like 4 years now, but what you gonna do? Hello everyone, it's Daniel here, bringing you a Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary. Today we're giving MVM another shot. And it really is like been a long time since I tried this. Like the last time I legitimately played MVM was for the special with Stuart. You might remember when we hit 5,000 subs, which was actually only this time last year, which is kind of insane if you think about it. We have 11,000 subs in a year. But we were playing it then, and we called it the final wave, and we got so frustrated that we vowed never to play this game mode again. We were frustrated to the extent that we moved our podcast, The Queue, which was traditionally based on recording the long wait times for MVM. We packed up and moved it to other games because we were just so infuriated with that round of MVM. But I've been actually giving it another shot though over the last weekend. While I was sick, I was just basically decided I'd go for a full tour. And I was just playing a lot of Mecha Engineer and Gear Grinder. I had one tour that I was like 2 parts in, so I finished that one up first, and then I just hopped over to another one. Playing some heavy as well for it because I'm so out of practice for MVM and unfamiliar with what actually works. All I remember is that like heavy is one of those standard things that you're always going to need. And it turns out it hasn't changed too much. Like Engineer is pretty much more or less the same. Demo Man has so much more importance now, my god. And it seems that people still don't like snipers or spies in this game mode. You see them get instantly kicked whenever one of them happens to join your group, which is kind of a shame, but you gotta have experience to play those classes, I guess. They're not particularly great in MVM. Maybe they should just remove them, but that's just my thought. Well, that's just my thoughts on it. We're giving it a second shot again, though, and coming to the realization, it's actually a very fun game mode that I do want to play some more of. MVM is one of those things that's kind of interesting, because you rarely see it covered anymore on TF2. Well, on YouTube, outside of sort of the YouTuber collaborations, it seems to be like the go-to thing we all use MVM for. It's like, you want to do a video with someone else? You're playing MVM together, bub. And it's like, that's what we all just like gravitate towards, and you can see so many examples of that. There's much less like quite serious commentaries about it. Like, it seems to have kind of dropped from discussion almost entirely, which kind of makes me happy that I'm giving it a go again, because I do kind of want to give my thoughts on this. Particularly so because people may have seen the Neato picture trending on the subreddit. It's already becoming a bit of a meme, which is always rather unfortunate. But you may have seen Neato trending because basically one of the active devs for TF2, he leaked a screenshot of an Australium Mad Milk. And this has led many people to believe that in the next update, whenever that may be, there will be some sort of support for MVM, because the Australian weapons are all from MVM. So if you see a new Australium, naturally means something new is happening here. But I've yet to see any discussion as to what this update might actually be. Because MVM has been unsupported for 4 years. The last update was Tale of Two Cities. That was winter of 2012. Which just makes me feel old when I think about it. It's technically like kind of 3 and 8 months, I guess. But like we're close to 4 years. I don't want to like downplay the fact that it's been a ridiculously long time since it got supported. And it's very strange as well because MVM is one of those things that is consistently done well. Despite the lack of support, like there's still huge interest in people playing this game mode. And you can see that insofar as if you go hop on the store, the top selling item, like almost always, is the Tour of Duty ticket because people are still buying it to play the MVM. Like that chance to get the really rare Australiums. Maybe that's part of what's fueling it, but there's still like a community for this scene that's really just kind of gone unnoticed the last while, or just like kind of unspoken of. Like you really don't see a lot of mention of it. And like I was with some people in this tour as well who were like, one of them, I believe it was like the scout, he had 500 tours under his belt. Like some of these guys are just veterans of the MVM scene. Like they've actively been playing it like so much. Like I worked it out, if you'd have to do like 52 tours, like that's pretty much if you did like one tour every day for like a year and a half. That's kind of what that works out as, which is like kind of insane because like to do one tour you've got to play like upwards of 3 games of MVM, so people have really put in the time and effort. But for possible speculations then as to what the MVM update should add, if it is going to add anything, because again we don't know where the Australian Mad Milk is going to go. It might not even be related to MVM for all we know. But if there is going to be anything for MVM, then I feel it's in dire need of a couple of new tours. I think that much is like a given, because we simply put, this place needs more maps. People have been on the same maps and the same tours for 4 years now. That's a long time to ask anyone to play the same things. Like, could you imagine basic pubs if they just didn't do any updates in all that time? Like, if someone was just dedicated to MVM, then it's like, really, there has been no updates for your game for 4 years. That's kind of woeful if you think about it. There's been a lot of like balance tweaks though, at least, I guess. Like, they have like changed a couple of things. Medics seem a lot more useful than they were back in the day. They've really kind of got the shield actually working properly now. 'Cause that used to be buggy as hell back in the day. But yeah, it's gone like a long time without support, so I think new maps and like new tours, I think that's a given. Like, there's gonna be a couple of new bot killers. I think if there is support for MVM, you kind of just have to add that as like the basic thing. But outside of that, there's like a couple of things that I'd like to see. I'd like to see some new variants of the gameplay, and they were trying this with a lot of the Two Cities updates tours, where they added actually bosses that could be up against like special characters. Like, you may have even seen there, like that heavy had like a woolly hat, and as such, he is naturally a fearsome predator in TF2. He is a boss. But they could add some more for that and just add some like more unique varieties of things. So like, they have tried to experiment with it, only like to a very small degree. Like the map I'm playing on right here, like Manhattan, is probably the best example, because the robots can actually cap a point, and when they cap the point, an extra bomb is introduced. That's the sort of gameplay I think that MVM really needs, because it really just spices it up and adds that bit of extra variety, because this is the kind of thing that you basically want people to play over and over again. There is something like quite grindy and nature about MVM, and that's kind of like the nature of most like horde based things. Like, you just kind of want to play it again and again. Something like kind of, it's just like the entertainment of just shooting things, and it's like, it's quite relaxing in that sense. But if you want people to come back and keep shooting things, you need more variety obviously added to it. So I would like a couple of things just to spice up the gameplay a little more like that, and they've already done it to a little degree, so just some more tweaks would be kind of cool. My biggest hope for MVM, I said this one, it's like, this is like the crackpot prediction, if you will. I said this, like, again, like a commentary years and years back when I was still doing a bit of coverage on MVM, which again was years ago now. Like, it's been a really long time since I even mentioned MVM here. My like crackpot prediction though, like thing that I would love to see, is I would love to see a competitive MVM in some capacity, where basically, if you imagine that there's two teams of mercenaries fighting two hordes of robots, and think of it as like a competitive Tetris. So it's like, I can't remember. Yeah, it is a competitive Tetris. It's one of the variants of it, whereby the more blocks you matched up, more blocks would appear for your opponent. What I want to see for MVM is I want to see the more robots you kill, they go to the other team's side, and they'll just fight them there. And so what you continually have then is you'd have these two hordes of robots going back and forth, and as you kill more on one side, they all like kind of overwhelm the other team. And then if you had like the man up rewards as well, still from the Tour of Duty tickets, I think that would make it like very sporting, and I think there'd be something serious to play for. Like, tie some new bot killers to it, sure. Like, people would love to compete for that, I think. I think that would be like a really cool thing to see. And again, it changes it significantly compared to what it is currently. So that's why it is like the crackpot dream. I don't realistically expect this to happen, but I think it would be insanely cool to add something like this, because part of the reason that a lot of people are kind of like swayed away from MVM is that sometimes it has to compete with pubs, and pubs are very fun places to be, because you're just like up against all sorts of characters and you're interacting with all sorts of players. Like, things like sandwich movies aren't going to exist on MVM. They simply don't work. Like, unless you have a pre-made group of 6, you can't really try things. You have to like play to like an established meta, which is more than likely going to be like, use a medic, use like a heavy, use an engineer, use a scout, use a demo, and then soldier or pyro. There's actually a bit of variance always in the last slot, but it's very established into what kind of role you're going to play. And if you don't play one of those roles, you're going to be instantly kicked. Like, you see that with snipers and spies all the time. Simply put, sniper and spy are ridiculously underpowered compared to the other classes here. It's like, why would you play one over a demo? So if you were to add sort of a more competitive element to it, you could actually kind of like sort of invent a reason to actually play like the spies and the snipers. Like, my idea for the competitive one was to have the players in the same map, so you have both sides fighting against the robot horde at different points, so you can interact with each other. So if you have a sniper or a spy, then go over and dick over the other team. That would be really interesting, because the game's still going to be decided upon who can fight the most amount of robots. So it would just it would add like a little like extra element to it and just make it really, really challenging. This is also incredible, by the way. Just at the end of this tour, I was very, very happy for this man. This is one of the guys who has done quite a number of tours at this stage. He got a lot under his belt. That's an Australian flamethrower. So, like, that man just basically made, like, $80 just from doing that one game of MVM, which is really, really incredible. And yeah, having, like, some more Australians at it, I guess, would be the sort of thing that might just bring more people back to MVM, because if you do get those things, like, you are basically getting, like, a copy of Fallout 4 if you so desire. You can just sell it on the marketplace, like, instantly. If you get a golden pan, like, you can retire. That's how valuable those things are. But I would like to see a couple of additions just to MVM, because it is one of those cool things that TF2 does have going for it that has been largely neglected, like, the last couple of years. Like, 4 years is a long time to go without any new maps added, and like, just to ask people to play, like, the standard same sort of waves. So it could really do with some new stuff. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this commentary. I hope you guys enjoy it. I just thought I'd talk about it because it's pretty neato, you might say. Oh god. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you with something new soon.